Hello and welcome to another Tech Articles. In today's article, we are going to do a little bit of direct admin work. I have written a relatively extensive blog post about this and setting this up, so I'm going to keep this brief around the reasons I'm doing it. But I found something out yesterday while trying to correct a problem with some of my demo domains. I wanted to make sure that I could get catch-all delivery of emails, and I've been using Cloudflare's email forwarding for that, but I couldn't do that on one of my boxes because it was direct admin, and I needed to be on that domain with using that domain's name servers rather than just an A record or a C name using flattening for Wildcard DNS. So while inquiring with my provider on that setup, they said that there is another possibility and that they hadn't tried it, but it could possibly be done. And as nothing came up in my searches, I thought, why not give that a go? And I did it yesterday and I successfully did it, but I couldn't find a lot of documentation on it. So I thought I'd create a video, I'd write a blog post, and it's there for me next time I need to do it, and it's there for you if it's what you want to do. So what I've got here is a demo Cloudflare account with a single domain in it. And what I have here is an instance of direct admin with said host. This isn't the one I usually use. This is another one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our hosting details. So I'm going to go to DNS management and I'm going to grab this server IP. I'm going to head over to Cloudflare now and I'm going to open this site. I'm going to go to DNS. I'm going to have two records, and in this case I'm going to use them as A records. I've recommended in the article, and I recommend here, that you use CNAME flattening. There's a couple of articles, and there's a linked article in the article that will be in the description of this on why CNAME flattening is good. But if you're going to do this over several domains, CNAME flattening will make it considerably quicker if you ever have to change that IP address. In this example, I don't have a CNAME to flatten to without exposing all my CNAMEs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do direct A records, but it works exactly the same regardless of whether it's CNAME or A records. So I'm going to put one in for app for the root, which you would do the same in the CNAME, and we're going to set it as proxied, and I'm going to push save. And then we're going to add another record again. This time we're going to use a star because we're wildcarding, and we're going to do the same. And I will come back here later and add one more in just for your information around logging into direct admin. So that's our setup in terms of pointing our domain and our subdomains to the server. The next thing we need to do is we need to head over to profile and profile, API tokens. And what we're going to do is generate a new API token. You can see I currently don't have any API tokens generated, so we're going to create a new token. We're going to use this first template here, and we're going to modify that to fit our circumstances. Now, this will work with your global key and your user email address. I strongly suggest you use individual zones for individual domains, or sets of domains if they're going to be hosted on the same host. So in this example, we're going to use a zone template. And this is a basic zone template, and we need to make a few modifications. First of all, we need to make sure that the resource is the domain we want to work on, which is in this case is this. If we wanted to add more and we had more domains in our account, we would just add more and then select a different domain. So, but specific zones keeps it to a particular domain or group of domains. So we want zone DNS edit, but we also need permission for that zone to edit the zone. And this one is usually missed when you're trying to add zones. People forget about this one. So it needs edit privileges for zones as well. So it needs zone DNS edit, zone edit, and you need to make sure it's got the correct domain name. And then we continue to our summary. We get our summary, and we push create token. Now, as a note, this token will only be displayed once. So make sure you copy it. Make sure you save it if you need it elsewhere as well. In my case, we are going to open up a notepad and dump it in there for later. And we're going to need that when we go back to direct admin. So that's us done temporarily in Cloudflare. So what we're going to do is just go back to our domain so that it's there when we want to come back. I'm also going to copy the domain name, save me typing it. And we're going to head back to direct admin. Now we're in direct admin, we need to go to domain setup and we're going to add a new domain. And we've added our domain that we just copied. Now, if you're adding this domain for the first time, then I strongly suggest that you remove this SSL checkbox. And the reason for that is if you don't, it will automatically, when you, as part of the creation process, run an SSL certificate, dry run and issue based on the details we enter. That will take 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how busy the system is and where it is in the process. And it'll slow you down. So if you disable the SSL, then it won't run that SSL on creation, which means there's an extra step to enable it again when we go to SSL certificates, but it hasn't tried to run it, which means you can run it immediately. If you've already got your domain already included in the domain, say it was this quick demo base domain, what I could do then is I could skip this step and go straight to SSL certificates. But we're going to carry on. I'm going to insert this domain. I'm going to push create domain. And that will then add it to our account. As such. And we now have that domain on our account. So we're going to select that domain as our main domain, and we're going to head over to SSL certificates. It tells us that SSL is currently disabled for this domain and we need to enable it. Now, if you hadn't just added this and you already had this domain in here, you would select it the same way and you would come and see this screen here. You'll see we don't have a certificate currently, and what we want to do is click this one here, get automatic certificate from Acme provider. We're going to stick with Let's Encrypt. We want a Wildcard DNS, so we're going to select Wildcard, and you'll see that it's turned into a Wildcard application. The next thing is we need to connect it to Cloudflare, and we do that by coming down here and changing this from local to Cloudflare, like so, and then we get this pop-up come up. There's other configuration options here as well if you need to send them, like challenges and propagation checks. As I said earlier, you can set global details, which would go in these boxes. I always prefer zone tokens. I use the same zone token for both, as you saw me create. So I'm going to copy that from off screen. I'm going to stick that in the zone and API token for DNS, and I'm going to push save. And you'll now see it's Cloudflare and it's customized, and you can edit those details by clicking on customize here. But we're all ready to go, and the next thing I need to do is push save. So what it'll do now is it will run a SSL certificate. This is relatively quick in terms of response. Usually within a minute or so you get a response doing it this way rather than a system generated. I think it must push you to the top of the queue for generation because it's custom. I will give it a few seconds, and if it hasn't come back, I will pause the video and come back once I get a notification message, which should appear here. We're back, and you'll see I have a new message. If I click on this, it tells me it was successful. If I click on it, it will tell me now that I have Wildcard DNS available via this site, even though my DNS is being handled via Cloudflare. So that's all set up now, and we're all good to go, and that ends that part of the tutorial. I did say we'd go back to direct admin or back to Cloudflare one more time, and that's to do with how you access direct admin. Direct admin uses a port of 2222. This is not on the list of Cloudflare redirected ports, which means if you use proxy to protect from attack, you cannot use 2222. The easiest way I found to get around that is I actually add an additional subdomain. And the good thing about Cloudflare is wildcard comes second. So you can add a new domain name. It doesn't get affected by your wildcard. And in my case, I always have one called DA. and I just point that directly to the IP address or the CNAME, and I just make it DNS only, which means it's not proxied. I set a low TTL in case I ever need to change that IP address, and I push save, and that is it. Now, when I want to access my direct admin panel, rather than going directly to the domain with 2222, I actually just go da.domain.com:2222, and that is totally unproxied and gets straight through and lets me log in and work on that. And the same for my scripts that run on the API of DA, direct admin. I've done exactly the same. I've made them use that subdomain, not via Cloudflare, because it doesn't pass that detail on. But yeah, this information was out there, but it wasn't very well publicized. It wasn't very easy to do. It works the same for multiple cloud providers as well. If we go back to SSL, there's lots of them listed. I haven't tested it for the others, but it is definitely worth considering that just what options you have available to you here. So it's not just Cloudflare. You've got anyone with a DNS and an API, I assume, is listed. So if they've got it and it's been added and they've got an API, you can add them here. But there's quite a few domain registrars that I've used in the past here. But yeah, this is to me is a really good option. It does mean that I can use direct admin more actually than I have been previously for my tutorials, because now my emails are automatically forwarded. I can use the same domains in both grid pane and direct admin without having to keep separate domain names for them. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, thanks for watching.